Hello. Okay, we are on. So thanks for coming back. For anyone who watched last night, trying to get this project back on the back on its feet. I'm just checking all the streaming stuff is working, so I think you guys can see and hear me. So I've got the chat open, so if anyone drops by from, I put a promo up on Reddit and one up on YouTube, so if anyone stops by from those, then let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me if you're watching these. If you're checking it out later, welcome. There was a video last night where I was hoping to get back into this project, and I bumped into an issue with Stripe that took up like 10-15 minutes of the video, but that was pretty useful. But I'm going to describe now what we're going to do. We're going to look at over, it might be one stream, it might be several. So this will be the context, the kind of opening few minutes. This will be what we're trying to do. But I've also tried to explain it in the Reddit post and everywhere else. If I just check on my Reddit post what I wrote, let's see if that is the best way to describe it. So we are basically we're going back and doing some work in when I first started streaming, just to see if this streaming thing would work. I was basically adding a process to, so if we go to this channel, that's super cool. I forgot. Little guy. Okay, so there's us right now. And back in these early streams, I'm going to put a playlist together for this. I've been putting some of these playlists together. So that is us today. I put one in for debugging issues. I'm going to put these early ones back on. But basically, in this adding steps to a multi-step process, I was working on that. And everything was kind of working fine, but in that process was a Stripe payment. And for those of you in the EU, we had some regulatory changes, and Stripe implemented a new API. So I went to work on that instead, and so that kind of left this project a little deferred, a little delayed. So what we're going to do today is move that back to the priority list. We're actually going to try and get it shipped over the next streams, whatever you want to say. So what I'm going to do is show you, so you can go back and watch those videos if you want the context, but what I'm going to do is show you a couple of things I've got for it. So two key issues that we need to deal with, both caused by me. The first one, well, one caused by me and one that's just incidental to the code that we're working on and how we're going to get it shipped. The first one is that, as I mentioned on Reddit, I mixed the two branches together. So there was one for the Stripe stuff and one for the adding the extra steps for Gift Aid. We'll come on to exactly what the steps are later. And they're two separate features, but I put them on the same branch because I thought I was nearly done, and I wasn't. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. So we're dealing with that. And so it was a very long branch. It was way longer than I normally make. So just because I rebased one on top of the other, I was like, oh, this is pretty much good to go. I was way off. So what I've done over here in Notion is basically so this is my Notion list of all of the commits. So I'm going to open source tree as well, where we can take a look. So we have this. So this is source tree. We can make that a bit smaller. And this is the branch payment customers that has not been merged. So basically, I'm not going to merge this branch. It's now it's just become this repository. I kept adding to it because I was like, oh, I'm just going to chuck stuff on here while I come back to it. It got out of hand. Things got out of hand. So I grabbed out the list of commits and I put them in Notion. And you can see here I have ticked off and colored the ones that I have. I think I colored them when I merged them into another, or I put them on another branch, and then I ticked them when I think they made it into master. I think that's what the process was. This was a little while ago because the Stripe stuff all needed to go to production. So today we are going to take some of the ones that are still here that still need to be done, related to the gift aid work, and we're gonna try and put them on a new branch, and we're gonna put them into try and get them ready to go up to master. So that's the first thing. That's the first issue that we have. The second issue that we have is that we need to keep the existing payment flow, the one that the people are using at the moment, behind the feature flag. So the new Stripe code has been rolled out behind a feature flag because there are some things that it does that basically affect the organizations using the software. So we are using it behind a feature flag and then rolling out gradually. So we need to do the same thing because the way that we're changing these steps affects how we only want it to affect donations that are using the new payment code, basically. So those are the two things we want to deal with. So we're going to take some commits from here, and we're going to see whether we can cherry pick them or we are going to have to do them manually. And I really screwed myself over here because we actually start the gift aid stuff here, and here, but then we go and do a bunch of other work. I think this is when I rebased one of these other branches. This is like several rebased into one. I don't know what was going on. So put that down there. So then we do more here. And so from the stream, anyone who was watching the stream last night or has seen the stream last night, we know that there is a second step that we add here. Also, I was drinking decaf coffee last night. Today we're gonna do a bit more, so we can drink proper coffee. But I've got a new little interstitial for the stream. So if I go top my coffee up, then I have a little holding page. Gonna work out, get some little hold music or something like that up and running. Okay, so let's get started. Actually, let's just crash into this because I don't really know how this is going to work. So let's start a new branch. This mic is covering my. I'm aware my laptop is making kind of the fan noises kicked in. I need to be able to see my laptop. You can probably hear my squeaky chair. I'll stand up later. So let's just say. Gift aid steps. Okay, so we're on a new branch, so we can see what happens here. Let's try and run some tests. Okay, so let's take a look in source tree at the code we've actually already got. Because remember, we from those early streams, we had actually done the work, so it's not like we're starting from scratch here. Okay. So I'm referencing my little list here as well, because I want to know what I think or what past me thinks has already been pushed and merged. Okay, so there's that same issue with source tree. I don't know if anyone else has that. It just randomly jumps. If you're scrolled down here, but you've selected a commit here, after a given interval, it will just jump to the commit that you've selected. It's incredibly annoying. And I've filed a couple of bugs for source tree, so when you get in touch with them, they're like, oh, hey, can you file an issue here? And they've always been filed under like, there. Can I turn that off? Is that, oh, sorry, it's so, I don't even know what that would be under, like general. I don't know what it's doing. It's super annoying though. Alright. So, well, I guess we just have to select it, I think, down here where we want to be. Okay, so migration. Add gift aid declaration destination. Okay, so that's happened. So add rake task migrating donations to use new gift aid fields. Okay, so the data structure we're using for storing gift aid. Oh, so a bit of context for these. Gift aid. Semiotics, linguistics. Not you, Siri. So gift aid is something that donors to charity in the UK can indicate that they are able to, they're eligible for gift aid. The charity can then apply to the government. So if you donate £1, for example, the government will then pass the charity another 25p, or they'll give back another 25p on the say-so of the fact that the donor is a UK taxpayer. So we are moving the old wording to the new one. So this is a one-off rake task that we want to migrate that eligibility. So that one we do actually want. That I think that will still work. Because this was all about this concept of, at the moment, storing gift aid as a one just text at the moment, and then move them. You can see that the gift aid declaration wording is now stored as an array. I think it's a JSON B field, and it's an array of sentences, and then we can store the consent. It's, each one is an individual declaration for gift aid. So let's cherry pick this one. So we do want this one. So then we're gonna use this is super low tech. Like, you're probably watching this thinking this guy's crazy, because like there's a better way to do this, but I don't normally work like this. Who works like this? This isn't normal. So I'm just coloring it here, to know that it's now on my new branch up here. And I work in source tree just because I prefer the visual nature of it. You could do stuff like this if you haven't used Git cherry pick. You can do it. This stuff you can all do in terminal, so it's the same thing. So update donations. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Add includes and fix rubric population donations controller. Okay, so that's here. Format donation view in Juno. Okay, so set params. What's that even doing? So that's just doing an eager load. That'll be something like me seeing the bullet gem complain about, and then +1 there. That is that's interesting. Okay, but that all kind of makes sense. So basically that's just preloading some information. This is Juno is the namespace for organizations to administer their donations and things like that. And so here we're doing some preloads just so there's not an n+1. That's actually just fixing a syntax thing, but ransack is the gem we use for searching, so that'll just be grabbing back a collection. Now the show is interesting as well. So basically the issue we have is we're now going to have two data structures live on production at the same time, because we're going to hide one behind a feature flag. So there'll be the old one which just uses the sentence, and the new one that uses the fields in this migration. And here I'm going to assume the next one up is format donation view uses the new ones, I'm going to guess. okay. Wow. Wow. I did some actual work. There's a little presenter there. Oh, okay. We might be doing some UI work as part of this as well then, because that's adding in some extra stuff there to the donation. Where's the gift aid stuff? Where's the... Oh, wait. Is that... Where is the gift aid stuff? Here. Presenter has provided a gift aid declaration. Okay, and what is it? Has not provided a gift aid declaration. And where is that declaration? Have I done that later? Format gift aid info. Okay. Shit. So this is this is the annoying thing about doing, because presumably when I was working on this, I was like, oh, I'll rebase these down later. And then not even accidentally, I just rebase the work on top of it. Okay, so we're gonna... Should we just cherry pick these on? Because it's fine. As long as they merge okay. Okay, let's give that a try. So let's just go through the ones that are dark here and kind of not purple, I mean. And so add includes... Okay. Add includes, let's cherry pick that. Okay. It's freaking me out that there's nothing changed in the view tests in there, or the kind of feature integration tests. But I'm gonna go... Oh, there is, sorry. That was a complete lie. Sorry, I missed that. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, so this one as well. That one has cherry picked okay. Where's that commit even gone? I rebase this as I've taken these out? Actually, that would have been a better edit. Okay, so okay, sorry. So no longer provide font size for P or span tab. So this one is super duper annoying. So I actually can see the commit message here. Probably says everything I need to say. This came out of a decision from a long time ago, as we are using the 0% font size to remove white space around containers that would display inline block. This would then cascade. And rather than forcing a default wrapper like full width, we added a default font size, which is stupid. This can result in invisible elements or text that is now differently sized. Yeah, so we ended up having to put a default font size on this, which is super annoying because it broke the cascade. Yeah, okay, let's do that as well. Let's get moving on some of this stuff. So let's do that one as well. Okay, remove inherit size CSS class. Okay, so I don't really want to go into the backstory of all of that stuff, but basically, because we were using this kind of font size 0 fix for some of the CSS elements, we would put in it, as I said, so we would then put in p tags and span tags, li tags, things like that, ended up with a default font size rather than using the cascade, and we then had a class that we'd put them back on. It was all asked about face. So this removes that inherit size because it's no longer needed. But it is a massive commit simply because it was all over the place, but it actually just removes a CSS class that's just been pulled out. So yeah, like you can see, it's just all over the place. I'm just gonna do that as well. Like I'm gonna cherry pick that as well. Like, let's get it done. Let's get into it. Ah, shoot. Okay, so this one hasn't worked. Knew it wasn't gonna be this easy. I knew it. Okay, so rearranging things on the other screen. Bear with me just a second, because I have to keep looking over on the far side. Okay. Okay, so what's failed? This one here. So the payment manager got pulled from do you think it just got re-indented? So it's already there. Yeah, if you look, it's just 2 spaces in. So in here. I actually like this UI. People have been saying they're not huge fans of VS Code. Like, I'm kind of a big fan. I used to use Sublime. I've tried Redmine a couple of times. I like this. This is pretty straightforward. So that's already there. Just want the current change. Doesn't think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, that's gone as well. Stripe v3. That's what Stripe v3 is now our default. So yeah, accept current change. So if I do that, do I get the same commit? Damn it! So now I need to go back and grab the commit message from that. Oh, this is painful. This is painful. So I'm hoping that you're able to follow along with what I'm doing on the Git front, even if the code itself you might need some context for. Okay, so we've done this one as well. Color that pink. Okay, format gifted in Juno, fix formatting issues. So what are we doing here? Oh, I'm also aware, can I change that font size in here? Must. Oh, here we go. Div font. That's just the div font. Can you change the normal size? I just do Command plus, does that? not do anything. Okay, well, what happens if I change? It only changes that? Okay. Well, that's fine. I can change that for now. There's no way to change these fonts here, font sizes. I'm going to Google that because it'll make it, if I've changed the font size everywhere else, it would make sense to change it there. Source tree change font size. '17, 2018, yeah, I've done that one. Okay, well, I have the same problem. I have to use a 14-inch laptop and I feel like I'm going blind. Okay, so that's cool. Alright, that's kind of annoying. So sorry if on the stream it's a little hard to read. Please blame the team at Atlassian. It's kind of annoying. That seems like a no-brainer, but I guess that's easy to say as someone who doesn't work on these things. I think this is cross-platform, so I'm guessing they do something cross-platform. Anyway, if it's hard to read, these ones on the right are hopefully a bit easier to read. It's the same commit messages. All right, so format gifted in Juno. Remember, Juno is our administration area where users can administrate things. So see, that doesn't seem right. Okay, but we can come back to that because we just need to check that both the new gift aid formatting and the old one are working. I very much doubt this cherry pick is going to go over first time, but let's take a look. Oh, look at that, it totally did. Okay, so that is format gift aid. Starting donation of donation. That's just a little formatting thing, so that one can go in as well. This is going better than I thought it was going to go, guys. I'm pretty happy. Add prompt to message. Oh wait, oh, that was. This is going better than I thought. He says selecting the wrong one and cherry picking it. Okay, so they're the wrong way around now. So that one got done. Alright, I did that one first by mistake. Because it's just a little prompt. So, if you're going using ready. Okay, so if we've got a user, we put their name in the prompt, and if we don't, we don't. And there's a test for it. Okay, that one can go in as well. Okay, now this one I've put a warning symbol and I have put it in orange. And I have written a note to myself, gift aid wording. Okay, so I appreciate myself giving myself a heads up. But what was I trying to say to myself? So obviously the migration will now be out of date. So let's take a look and see. There for donation. Is that what that is? No, here we're adding it to the organization, or to a charity in this case. I'm gonna give eligible indication to donations. That one is there. Oh man. No. Yeah, no wonder I want myself. So that's what I'm switching over to, is the schema we already use. So add donor gift eligibility indication. That's already on donations. Donations, gift eligibility indication. Check. Gifted declaration wording, getting that added to charities. That is on donations, so that's not present. Charity gifted, that's what I mean by charity gift aid wording. Okay, and presumably I still need this. So presumably later on when I come to do those 2 steps. I need the actual information from Do I skip the migration now until I need the field, until something breaks? I wonder how. Let's run my tests at the moment just randomly in the middle of all these cherry picks. Because don't forget, I was midway through this feature, so if they don't pass, the work to resolve them might be in these subsequent commits. Okay. Could I do... additional gift aid stuff. Well, the migration is right there. Presumably it's in the next one. It's in the next commit. So it is gift aid declaration wording JSON B to here. Yeah. Okay, so we do need it straight away. Great. Okay, so we want... what do we want? We want this. So we want to cherry pick it. We want to not commit it. Perfect, it didn't resolve anyway. So we actually don't want any of these, so we can reset the changes to schema. So basically, we've got some migrations that are now way out of sync with our current schema.rb, and we can ditch the changes to the schema because we've already got the migrations. The issue that we'll have is the dates are wrong and we only need one of them. So because we've cherry picked it without committing, so cherry picking is basically taking a commit from one branch and plonking it straight onto another branch, and it gets a new ID. So it's its own commit. So it's not rebasing that commit over. It's basically saying take this and make it a new commit over here on another branch. And we haven't yet committed. We've just taken the changes and said put them here and they're staged. So we don't want this one. So we can just unstage that. And we can actually just discard that. Remove it because we don't need it. And so on this one, we can then, so migrations in Rails are time-stamped, but it's just the name, it's the prefix on the file. So over here, I'm just going to close the test running. We'll come back to that in a second. So you can see how far behind that is. But what you can need a console now. I've just closed it. What you can do is if you just do time.now.toS, you can see how this is made. So this is actually what that timestamp is made up of. So it's just a year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds. And so that's the current timestamp for this migration. So literally all I can need to do is rename the file and everything else about it. So Rails will take the timestamp to determine the order of the migration and to know whether it's been run or not, because at the top of the schema.rb is the last run migration. And it'll say, well, okay, well, this time is after that time, so it'll know to run it. But everything in here stays the same because the rest of the file name stays the same. So these need to match. Add gift aid declaration wording to charities, add gift aid declaration wording to charities. They still match. And so I can close that one down. Don't need that one. And so then when we run, come out of this. Okay, so those tests are passing. Okay, so I was kind of staying fairly diligent while I was working on that branch. But what it means is we can now actually run, I've moved that mic again. I have to work with it. So if I run that migration now, it runs and our schema.rb will be updated as well. And you see our rename. So that commit that we were cherry picking wasn't what we needed. It had 2 migrations in it and we only wanted one of them. And also the schema.rb has moved on since then. So we cherry picked it without committing it, updated it, ran the migration, so we now have the changes we need, and then we can commit it to our branch. So I tend to, any commits that have migrations in, I tend to prefix with migration : space. Just because it tends to be, if branches do, I generally always put migrations in their own commit and prefix them like that, because if a branch goes stale and then people want to come back and work on it, often it's the migrations that are out of date and just need to be kind of diddled with in some way. So that's how I just pick them out. It's a pretty loose strategy, but it seems to work. So you can find it. If the migrations are mixed in with the other commits, I find it like just super annoying because you're bound to miss one when you're trying to rebase everything on. So let me just move this mic. I'll move forward slightly. So migration and gift aid. To charities. In terms of the commit message, I know that commit messages are for the kind of why we did things. I tend not to put a huge amount of why in the migration ones because they just tell you what fields you've added. I tend to write, that's why I was like, oh, there's probably code related to this commit in the next commit after it. Because the migrations themselves sometimes they're useful, but in general, it's usually the models and the logic that we care about, the why we did it. The fields, I tend not to usually put long whys in there, and that hasn't stung me too much. Although it does kind of rely on the fact that migration is fairly close to the commits you're working with, so your mileage will definitely vary on that one. Okay, so I can commit that, and I'm going to then consider this one done. So it's obviously, so it's obvious that the other migration had already been done. So this can then go purple. No, pink is. Sorry. Keep it consistent. Okay, so now these two commits here are from that original set of streams. So these are the two that we were working on back here. So using JSONB, multi-step stuff, blah, blah, blah. So that was 3 months ago now. So these ones back here. So thank you to the people that have watched them, the hundreds of people that have watched them, which is fucking mind-blowing. It's weird that the stuff with creating a new feature work better, so I'm going to do more of that. But you got to get this stuff shipped. So if you want to see these two commits get made, then you can go back and watch those. I'll try and put, actually, I'll do it later. I'll put the links into the description here. I'm going to forget to do that. Okay, so we can. What are the odds of this working? Because I don't know how much I've changed it. So let's keep going back. We're going back even further because we've colored even more of this purple. Add additional gift aid steps donation setup. Is this gonna be cherry pickable? This is just the initial implementation of this. The UI doesn't do, I can't make this any bigger, by the way, if you missed that earlier. This is the initial implementation of this. The UI doesn't quite do what we need in terms of capturing and storing the gift aid statements from donors, but there's the start of the feature here. Right, so I think that next part, the next commit, update gift aid checkboxes to implement Parsley. We only want Parsley validation to trigger when the checkboxes are visible, which is what the data Parsley excluded hidden is for. Okay. In reality, they could probably get squashed. These are the last two. Okay, let's see if we can do these as cherry picks. That has not worked. Okay, let's see what's happened. Okay, so we have a donation setup policy has been updated since then. And that looks like just a coding style. I think I prefer these square brackets rather than the %W, just visually for me personally. So we've obviously added in the gift aid declaration step on this one, but we've added in the completion step on this one. So we need to get those working. And on this one, we've just added in an update method. Made it the same as the method. Okay, so that's, we can accept the incoming one because we do want those to be the same. Seems fine. So let's save that. And on this one, we're gonna mix and match. So we want this, applications. Verifications, this is declarations, personal details, payments, confirmations, completions. That might come back to kick me in the butt. Because I think the others might have defaulted to... Just bear with me, I'm not going to kind of explain this part too much. I'm going to leave that in from this commit, but I think it might break some stuff. But we've got some tests over that process, so there wasn't any other ones. Payment details, payments, same, confirmation, completions isn't there, so this can go. So if you are using VS Code, this looks fancy, but it's just color over the text that's already in a standard conflict. So you can just erase it. Oops. And VS Code goes back to normal. Okay. So those are our conflicts dealt with. And now we can... It doesn't leave the commit on a failed thing. So I could never remember if there's an extra... Oh, it's so far to scroll back now, right? So this is the commit message. Go over to file status. Commit. So that is now on. I'm going to color that pink. And the next one. Okay, so that one has worked because that one is just changing code that was entered into the previous commit. Let's color that one as well. Okay. I think that has been merged. Did it get... Yes, remove old version of Stripe payment token generation so that can get ticked. Is there anything else that was purple and hadn't been ticked? No. Yeah, so purple was... It had been moved to another branch, and then the tick was when it made its way into master. Okay, so the test from earlier passed. Now that we've got some potential stuff that's broken, let's run the test again while we're reading the next commits and see what we've broken. Okay, users payment methods. Okay, so this is all related to the new Stripe stuff, so we don't need any of that because that can all come later. So that, no, 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 no. No, that must... I mean, there's already a payment method component up, so I'm going to skip it all for now. But I think all this is up when I come back to review it. Don't... That's all stuff for later. Okay, so... Can I skip these? Because these, I want to come back to these because they're useful. So donation preset, donation amount presets is at the moment the user types in how much they want to donate. But what charities can do in certain circumstances is say donate £5. It represents you know, a nurse or a meal, whatever that amount represents to that organization, and at the moment, they can only do that in certain places. And so what these two commits do is allow them to put in basically like global presets. And so by default, the user can tick their own. But also if the charity fills in the presets, they're available. So let's take a look at donation amount. So onto migration. So migration, add donation. I'm really bad at spotting these in a stream. Anyone watching is like, they're there. You've just gone past them, they're there. Okay, what? Am I totally missing those? Add payment intent, fails to payments. Migration. Migration. That's what we've already done. What? Add donation amount presets to charity. Has that already gone up? It's been rebased out. Intent field, purpose. Oh, for fuck's sake. Migration, migration, create payment activities, add payment methods. Version number to payments, gifted declarations. Looking to see if they've gone into production already. Provided timestamp. And then it just jumps back to the selected commit. That is the most annoying bug. That's slightly concerning because if that's... What was the next one? Add donation amount presets to the create donation form. I'm so blind. They're there the whole time. God, I'm sorry. That must have been so annoying for anyone watching that. Okay, fine. That must have been one of the other features that got put into this same branch. Like, that just doesn't need to be done now. Just gonna write a comment on those. You comment on multiple things in here? No. I really need to learn how to touch type, because then it wouldn't matter, I'm guessing, that the microphone was in the way. I think in Notion you can give yourself like a reminder. Can you do? How do you do it? Because I want to kind of come back to this next week. Would kind of be useful to know how to do that actually. If you haven't used Notion, it's really cool. So Notion reminder in comment. You can set inline reminder by literally anything by typing @remind followed by. Oh, that is cool. Oh, do you not do it in a comment? Do you do it? Okay, so if I leave the comment, and then if I do find Friday? Wow. Oh, that's super cool. And you get a little thing here on day of event. Include time. I think we're doing more stuff on Friday. If you guys haven't used Notion, get into it because it's flipping amazing. Okay, so that one and that one can get sipped. So add, give to, I guess we, thanks Notion, you can go. So we now want to do the next one. Add gift set details, step 2 donation setup. Okay, so this is where we're going to bump into our feature flag issue because this replaces the personal details controller, which is what we use at the moment. Because I thought we were going to just swap them out. But if we want to do a feature flag, we need them both to live next to each other. So you can see here we're swapping out. So this is the list of steps that we have. This is in our base controller for the setup. Setup is the name of what we call the kind of multi-step process. This is them getting swapped there. And we actually remove that. It's also removed the requirement to have a billing address as we're moving to use payment methods, so we no longer need the donation to have a billing address. We weren't sending this to Stripe, so it was only a system level requirement anyway. Past donation complete error back to the UM. Stripe token fails out. So the two options that I have here are significantly change this commit so that we keep both of these controllers and put these two behind the feature flag. Or did those test pass? They did. Okay, I was keeping this pretty clean actually. Sometimes I write the commits before the test pass, which is not a good idea. Okay, so like I said, we can take this out and put the personal details in as well. Or we can lean into this and do the swap. The main issue with that is how we would get it deployed. Because we need the gift aid declarations to stay consistent in the exports and in the UI. But because this is no longer tied to the Stripe stuff, we don't need it to get deployed urgently. We just need to get it ready to go. It can all go up in one go. And the exports, because you'll still get the address and the kind of true or false in the gift aid declaration. The gift aid declaration wording, we'd basically just need to make a call. I'm thinking out loud here, by the way. You don't need to mainly know what any of these things are. So we would need to discuss with the organizations in the how we export the gift aid declaration wording. But I mean, we could just replace what's there because it's basically just a string at the moment. So we could just join the strings in the array that we've just created to produce the same result. So we could just cherry pick this and then roll it out without the feature flag. This feels like something I would have thought through before jumping on a live stream to do it, but I don't know, I'm gonna get a sense of reality here as all these decisions get made. Oh, we don't need to, once this is up in a branch, we don't need to roll it. I suppose I can't then put it back behind them. I suppose I could, it's just more work to put it back behind the feature flag. No, let's press on. Let's do what I'd already done. I'd obviously intended to do this anyway. So if you've come to watch me put something behind a feature flag, then maybe this is less than fulfilling. But I think what I'm going to do is, because the payment stuff is still behind the feature flag. Yeah, okay. So the payment stuff is still behind the feature flag. So when we put the no, that can all go on to the new step. Actually, that's still okay. Okay, that still works. Yeah, I know this isn't very fulfilling viewing, but we're gonna keep going. All right, so that one update gift to show when radio, but update gifted eligibility to show hide when radio button selected. Okay, so we've got some. JavaScript there that's doing some stuff. The gift aid wording stuff. Okay, so let's cherry pick that one. Cool. Okay. There's no way that this next one is going up. So let's see what's broken. Please don't be too much. Oh my god, it's so much. Okay. This makes sense. I mean, it's all of the same stuff as before. I've done the same thing twice in two different ways. Man, my brain's not that consistent. I've added that and that, so it's the same thing. Oh, I guess, can you, if they added a separate ones to base, what does that do? Does that just do a join anyway? Oh well. And that's just gone. Okay, so that's fine. And that's just gone. Okay, so these aren't, they're not too bad. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. What is different about these two lines? One's got a space in between. I don't think I leave a space in between. I think that is VS Code doing stuff. But the others have a space, so I'm gonna leave. I don't think I do that when I'm typing it out, but I haven't been diligent enough with like my linting and stuff in JS. So because we're still waiting to move to Webpacker and kind of ES6 and all that stuff. So now this one we have to move to the new stuff. So the wrapped stripe provider is the new one, and the EL stripe provider is the old one. So Token create success. Handle. And form error. So I think we just want accept the current change. Okay, so I think that one's done. And so we can take that one off. This one is the one we did earlier, so we know that that's update, and then there should be an extra step in here. Gift date details, and then payments, confirmations, and there wasn't completions when we went to do it. Okay, so then this can go, that can go, and that's done too. It's the extra step. Personal details. Oh no, I've added. See, I've left personal details in there. I didn't mean to. Because as we looked at a minute ago, that can now go. Go in. Confirmations, we only need one of these. This is actually just kind of a quickie. I did not mean to do that. I'm going to keep this one, I'm going to keep the current change, they're all doing the same thing. Now it doesn't really matter, that's kind of a quickie because we should be doing something better with the errors there anyway. So that can then go in. So, personal details controller. What's the issue there? So if I do that, it just gets taken out, okay? It just gets taken out. That's right, because they got removed. Not sure what's happened there, but let's kind of go with it. So grab this. Is this the same? Interesting to see if those tests pass. Let's commit that for now so we know we're in the same place. And now let's see what happens, because I can't see that working, but see what it does in the background. Okay. That one is now pink. So then these next ones should just be adding in some existing behavior. This one, okay. Okay, so okay, so this might be, the font on this might be a bit small. So skip getter said, elsewhere we've used redirects in the controller to skip a step, but in this case I modified the steps array so the steps are taken out altogether. This creates a little complexity. Add a nested condition on the success path for the donations controller as you now care about whether the user needs to be verified and if the organization is gift aidable. I also switched the payment step to use edit rather than index so I could keep the same prefix method no matter which is the next step. Earlier on you saw me look at a method, it was like prefix for next step or something like that. That's what that's referring to. Had to add the claim logic to the payment step as we no longer guarantee what the first step is. This is super helpful. This is kind of why, even when I'm not 100% sure how something's going to work, I tend to write commit messages like this. Like before I was streaming these, I was the only person reading them, pretty much. So super helpful. So add gift details to donation stuff. Let's see if that'll work. I don't know. That has not worked. So let's take a look at what it's done. However, what I'm going to do this time is be smart and take the commit before we go. 2 issues here. Okay, so it's the same thing. This kind of array of steps. Okay, so all steps becomes what was steps. And steps becomes return all steps if it's gift editable. If not, remove those 2 steps. It's actually pretty, I find that pretty readable actually. Return all steps if it's gift editable. If it's not, just return it minus those 2. Fair enough. So that's the first one. What's this one doing? Yeah, I think I changed this to an index. Is that what I was saying in there? Did I change it in roots? I sure did. I changed it to edit. Is that what I was saying in the commit? To use edit rather than index. Okay. Swapping those out. Because they've been changed to edit. Shit, for payments as well? God, that's annoying. I rename that file edit as well. I'm not explaining a lot of context here. Oh, I fucking did. So in there will be index. So let's go to that file, go into here. So I'm just making this, so that would be V2. So basically I've changed the action. Oh fuck. These other tests are failing as well. Yeah, actually it's related to the same thing. So I've changed the thing. Okay, fine. So I need to make that consistent across these setups, because some of them use an index action and some of them use... why is this purple? What does purple mean? See? Both modified? I've renamed that. I've changed the test to change the action name. I've changed that. Okay. Getting a bit ahead of myself. I'm just keen to keep smashing through these because they're basically all work that's been done. Let's get who has indicated their gift. Okay, let's just keep going. So let's call this pink. Just going to see what tests fail at the end of it. Because everything is kind of making sense, like, other than little bits and bobs like that where they're conflicting. Everything else does seem to be working. Gift date details if... Okay, so those two gift aid steps that we're adding to the multi-step process, if the first one indicates that the donation is not gift aidable, we don't really care about the information in the second step because it's the information they're required to add to qualify for the gift aid. So they need to be a UK taxpayer, enter a UK non-business, so residential postal address, and tick the consents and stuff like that. We don't need them to do that if they have said no, it's not gift aidable, so we can skip that step altogether. And so it looks like we're doing that by so I think this one we are just doing a 301. So on the other one we were pulling out the steps from the steps array early on. But on this one, we are just doing a 301 to bump them to the next step. And the tests to make sure that happens. And update some of the formatting of the test to use let variables. Okay, cool. Ah, damn it. I think because we're now so far ahead of ourselves, we're going to not get any of these through first time. So let's see what we're doing here. Sorry, my phone is beeping. I'm just checking that I'm not... it's kind of my first big, long daytime stream. So I'm kind of getting used to not being able to look at my phone as much and stuff like that. As much as I want to pull my emails up and answer them here. Okay, so thank you donation path. Why did I move to... I know exactly what I did. So we added in, because we now, on the new Stripe API, we get our confirmation via a webhook. So when we show the user the thank you screen, we actually don't 100% know that the donation has been completed, because we're waiting for the, like, by complete I mean like fulfilled, like we've got the money and passed it to the charity. So we now do that via a webhook in the Stripe Payment Intents API. So when we pass them to the thank you, it's kind of a provisional thank you. So what we've done is we used to check the state of the object when we loaded the thank you page, because we knew that it was all fulfilled and everything like that. So if it wasn't, something had gone wrong and we could bump them back. Now we don't know that's the case. So now we attach a key to the URL, just a signed message to the URL, so that we know that they are viewing the thank you page from the previous page, because it's a secure URL, or kind of a signed URL, but we haven't yet fulfilled it. So there's nothing we can actually check on the view, and nothing we really need to check. We're just waiting. The user's clicked it, and we wouldn't have got there if Stripe hadn't returned us a success, but we're just waiting for that fulfillment. So we then have a key on the end of this path, which is required. And so that's why we now check for the location to match a regex rather than passing a direct redirect to. So that means we want to accept the current change, which is basically the same thing. So that's fine. That was a long explanation as to why we're doing that, but that does make some sense. It's tough if you're doing one of these, because you've got to remember that crap from ages ago. Like, oh, that's the %R thing. I never do that. Probably should. That's weird. Yeah, don't tend to do that either. Just eyeballing this for other formatting things. That'll do for now. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay. Okay, so as we've moved this to let vars from these, so that can be that. Tend to give them, oh, hang on, that can then. That, I think, is the right option. Not explaining a huge amount here, but I think that's going to work. Yeah, so that looks, when you, oh, this plus is shit. What? What are they? Is that supposed to be green? Is that what that's saying? Because that plus isn't really in the file. I'm going to say blame source tree for that one. Oh, they're there as well. Don't know what that's doing. Is that part of the conflict? I don't know. Okay, so allow completed donations as false. Okay, so I'm going to say that we want this clause because that's the current one. I'm going to say there is a step. So this is a shared example. So we're obviously specifying this let var to override it at some points. So but we've changed the layout and we've moved from add donation to donation. So I'm going to say we want this inside here. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of that, using these kind of let vars, but it's handy for if you've got these shared examples, but you do change their behavior. Because this is then weird, because that test only runs given the true or false of that let that's passed into the shared example from RSpec. Don't use that pattern very often, so that's something I'd be looking to pull out once that transition is completed. I'm not going back and worrying too much about these right now. These all look like they're all related to that issue of the steps being optional and jumped over and stuff. So I'm just going to kind of let this build up, mainly because I'm not convinced that the fixes aren't in some of these later ones. So we've done that one. That's just a normal change. Should we put user anywhere there then? And then we needed that donating user object. Anyway, okay. I totally don't remember whether I copied over the commit message for this one. So let's skip gifted. Let's color that one. Oh my god, how are we only halfway up this list of commits? Oh my god, I must have rebased 4 gajillion things into one place. So move share personal details to confirmation step of donation step. This we don't want to do anymore, because that confirmation step is now, we just want to be the confirmation step. We want a single button on there to say we're good to go. And we want to move all of the stuff further up the process. So gift head is gone. Okay, yes. V2? No, okay, so that's confirmation index. Can I skip this for now and come back to it? Is that going to cause me a huge headache? Because the subsequent commits will rely on code from this commit. Oh, can I do that thing again? I do a remind tomorrow? Yes. No, remind Friday. PM. Move validation of stroke token ID and payment. That must already be up because we've got those working already. So Validates payments bias. That's already gone. So that is both pink and ticked. That's a permittable service object. That's all up. It's all up. So that's done. I think all of that is done. Add initial create payment intent. So you can see I was kind of setting all this stuff up in these ones here are not going up because that's all related to storing payment methods, which we're not rolling out yet, but this is related to the Stripe payment methods, payment intents API. So that is all up. Add key payment intent. I think we did end up queuing them. No, that got changed as well. So I don't want those anymore because that's all up and done differently. So I'm just going to grey those out. No, I prefer the grey background. They're not going up because they're already up in a different form. Same might be said, update, create payment intent service, that's done. Or update, create payment intent, that's all up and elsewhere. So that can be grey background. That can get skipped because the stored payment methods is all of the work down here, which we are not rolling out right now. This payment method API controller. What? But done differently as well. Remove creation of payment intent from setup paymentable service. Yeah, okay. Remove payments API controller. Add payment method failure. This all got done elsewhere. Rename source to payment method in Stripe customer service. That's working. Add payment intents. This is all stuff for the Stripe payment intents. Initial components of payment action and payment method managers. If you're interested in that, watch yesterday's stream, which takes a look at using those. Those are the React components we have on the front end to handle creation of payment methods and payment actions, which is where we try and complete a payment intent on the UI and have to deal with anything that the bank throws at us. If you are currently using the Stripe Charge API and want to move over, you'll need to take a look at those. So add failed state of payments. This is all related to that. So update payment intent succeeded webhook service. Yes, okay, so that's something I think is up. It must be up. Services, Stripe webhook service, payment intent succeeded. Remove payment code from complete donation service. That must be done as well. Take payment. Okay, it's still there, but it's feature flagged now. Yep, okay, fine. Add completion step to donation setup. So as we saw, that's already been done. How is that? How has that one made it up? Whatever. Add route to allow users to reset the payment method on a payment. That's done as well. Oh my god, that's amazing. That means we're at the end of the list. Oh my god. Guys, we did it. That was 90 minutes of admin, of Git-based admin. All right. So, how close did we get? Is this the last run of these tests? Let's run those failures anyway and see if they fail again. All right, so we've got 6 failures. We're going to fix those, and then we're going to check it in the UI. I am going to top my coffee up. Like I said, I have added a special screen for this, so give me 2 minutes and I will be back. We will carry on. Okay, we are back. So thanks for sticking around for whoever's watching live, and thanks for skipping forward if you are watching this later. I've closed the door. I'm hoping that that will either make the echo better or worse. But let's check it out. So let's see what's going on with these failures then. So failure number 1. Undefined method donation setup personal details URL. So why is that still there? Why did that not get changed in those in all of those commits we've just done? Because presumably I would have tried to change it. Okay, so let's just donation personal details. All of this test is now defunct. Because we bit the bullet. Oh, is this the issue that when I was doing that cherry pick and when I clicked the hide, this shouldn't be here anymore. Because we just don't have this step. However, there should be 2 more in here because I've started doing them as subfolders. Okay, right. So this can go. Is that all of the failures? Because that would be super helpful because then I can just run more tests. So if you run RSpec, if you do RSpec dot, you can do -- only failures, and it will rerun the failures that it has just experienced. Okay, so I can see that that one is using an instance variable, which I'm trying not to do. So I'm hoping that that is the issue there. So I think edit action is wrong. So let's try that. Okay, so they now pass. Oh my god, we're gonna QA the crap out of this as well. So, that should be us. That's it, is that right? There's no way that's right, because I think those are the failures from the previous run. So I'm gonna check that they've fixed all the ones that were broken then, and then we're gonna run the entire test suite again. And remove tests for I can get rebased in later. So what we did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15 commits over those. Okay. So let's see if any of that has worked, shall we? Because now we need to get it to the state where it's usable by a user. So in here, have I got to the point of writing up my specs for this? Yes, they are in here. Okay. I don't think the spec is 1,000,000% finished, so this has got my notes in it. So I'm going to need to go through these before we can really know whether this is even close to done. So I need to go through the specs first. But hopefully this will kind of give us a ballpark. So our server's up and running. Let's see what we have got going on from... Oh, we need to run... that's true. I accidentally took a... Oh, I don't want to delete it because I'm using... So if you're interested, I'm just going to run our seed data. If you're interested in how that is put together, you can take a look at yesterday's stream, and I showed you the seeds and the seed scenarios that we use to build kind of representative seed data rather than just using RakeDB seeds. We have like an object structure. We kind of follow a similar pattern to what FactoryBot does from the guys at ThoughtBot, and that is covered a little bit in that stream, and I think I see a lot of kind of blog posts around that, so I think it could be useful. So I'll try and do a bit more content on that as well. Mainly because I need to build some more scenarios. As the system gets more complex, you need more seed scenarios just to make your QA testing easier as well. Okay, so we're just waiting for these tests to finish just to see how close we are to having something usable. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Just gonna read my emails. Okay, so God, this is how long our test suite takes to run. So once that's run, we're going to erase the DB. I think I could do that in here anyway, except in a different database. Yeah, okay, fine. So then we can recreate the DB. We can then load the schema. I think DB reset does this as well. I'm not sure if we need, in the stream yesterday, I put that we need seeds, but I don't know if we do. I wonder if we can just go for this one. Is that enough to get us usable data, or does, I'm wondering if some of the scenarios rely on some of the stuff in seeds, or if I just did that too, like, because in our app.json we do both the DB seed and the scenarios load, but I wonder if the scenarios is enough. So let's fire up the server and see if it's enough so those tests still running. Oh, okay, so they've all passed. Okay, so we at least have something has done something, is what those test passing tell us. But because we're just cherry picking from that previous rebased branch, we're really going to need to be vigilant. The next step, I'm probably not going to do this as part of a stream, is just basically go through that spec and check that all of the points are getting hit and go through the thing that we're actually trying to accomplish. Because I also need to add stuff about the way we export that gift aid declaration data and the kind of user experience around it and stuff like that. So like the emails that get sent. So that all will need to go into the tech specs for this feature. But it kind of bumped into this payments and SCA stuff as well. So these two, that whole branch we were picking off earlier, they should have been one branch and another branch, but they all got mashed together. So we're just separating those out. So these notes here, I need to go through all of them, color them to check that they've been done, go through the UI and check that that's all covered, and then come back in here and update all of these cards to make sure that they are working. And then I can go through and do the QA on them. So that's kind of a little look at how that process works in my world. No, that one won't work. Did I actually start a server? Yeah, I think it's just doing Browserify stuff. Cool, okay. Okay, so I can't get to control file. It's fine. So let's go to try and donate. So this is always an issue, and there's something that hangs on that first request to the subdomain. Okay, so be super surprised if this works all the way through. To the point where I don't think that should be. I get that we're skipping because it's not gift aidable. Right. I was like, oh, actually that's kind of interesting. So this organization by default is not gift aidable, so it has taken me straight to the payment step. So, and I'm not feature flagged, so I must have the old Stripe implementation. So now if I go through, right, that still works. Okay, cool. So now what I want to do is do a couple things. So we know from last night's stream that we have to add a fee, an application fee, because at the moment we return 0 as the application fee for the payment intent, and that is not allowed. You have to either provide nil or you have to provide a valid positive integer. So tax rate is 20%, tax is VAT. So kind of ignore what I'm doing there, just basically know that that's going to break if we don't do it. So then we are going to say that this organization is gift-dateable. And we can do that by setting it in the console, because I don't think I could build myself an admin area for it. So that is allow gifted. So then if we do, great. Okay, so you'll see that now that I've set that we do allow gift aid on donations for this organization, instead of going to the payment details, which we did last time, we now go to the gift aid options. So if I say no, then I should skip the next step and go straight to payment details. Perfect. And if I do go back and I say, yes, I do want to do that, I would normally have to, actually, I'm going to add some gift aid statements in. So they are going to be gift aid declaration wording. And that's going to be an array of test1, test2, which should be a string. And if I refresh this, great. So the wording that the organization enters and wants to be their gift aid declaration wording then get turned into checkboxes that the user has to agree to. And then they get stored on the donation itself. So we keep an exact copy of the time that they agreed to them and the content that they agreed to. So it's fine. So now if I have consented, I should be asked for my address. Again, formatting stuff, so we're not ready to launch this, but it's not wildly out there. There'll be some blurb about it needing to be a UK residential address. This will still be the old payment code. We're going to do 2 checks here. So we're going to do this one first for the old payment code. So that is still there. That is still there. So there are 2. This one is feature flagged. So like I said, we're on the old payment flow. That's the Stripe Charges API, and that doesn't exist if you turn the feature flag on. But we now don't want it to exist for either. So let's go in and start with the with an organization, perform confirmable gift aid donation. So what I'm checking here is whether we have a feature test for that tick box. And I've obviously gone in and added stuff for those previous gift aid steps. Fill in gift aid details. If I just pulled that out, There should be one here called confirmations here. So I used to put in the thing I was editing. So this is the formatting of the feature tests. I used to put in the thing I was editing and then the name of the controller. But I've actually started to match the feature tests to the same way I do the controller test. So everything is essentially, if it's namespaced at all, everything is then inset by one folder, which makes this file explorer on the left very intimidating because there's just so many individual files and folders. But as long as you know the namespace of the thing you're trying to get to, it makes everything mind-numbingly consistent. So this will then become, confirmations, could be confirmation. No, it's confirmations controller, so confirmation. So then this then becomes, what's the actual action for that? It's index. Okay, so edit spec. Like I said, I use inconsistent actions on these setups, and I shouldn't do. I don't think it really matters hugely, but it's just annoying because you have to try and remember. Okay, so that's just a rename, but it then makes this more consistent. I was struggling to find what I was looking for. So does this feature test check for? Yes, it does. Okay, so we're going to pop this here. Fix that. Okay, so I think these can both just go if I pull that out. So let's exit this and turn guard on. And then we want to do donation setup confirmation controller. We can pull that out. Because we don't want to be able to update it there anymore. And then we can go to the view. And pull that out as well. And here we get 2 test failures. We do, okay. So we don't mind that because they can just go, because we're literally taking that functionality away from that page. Running circular argument reference paymentable. I'm not 100% sure what that's doing. Why is that word there? Okay, that looks like Reaper caught me doing something bad and I didn't. Completion key, yep. Securable, yep. Yep. Yeah, that's weird. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so let's commit that separately just as a one-off. Okay, so that's done. That now passes, so then if we go back to here, this should no longer exist. But it doesn't matter because we're now grabbing gifted way earlier in the process. So we don't need that individual tick box or any of the stuff from that view that it was doing anymore. So that is fine. So let's commit this as well. Back to source tree. Again, apologies if this font is a little small. I know we've been looking at that a lot. If you weren't here earlier, I did see if we could change it, and according to the Atlassian forums, there are a lot of angry people saying we can't. So also, can I change this? I can't even change the font size I'm writing it in, so I'll just read it out. So also rename feature test for donations, set up confirmations. So we want to remove gift aid option. Let's just run the tests again. We're going to run the whole thing because sometimes there are end-to-end tests that you miss. So I tend to run those in the background. That will catch anything you're trying to do on a specific controller or feature test for an action. Let's remove gift aid checkbox from confirmation step. I'm going to confirm that. I can always just edit it. I haven't pushed it. Wow, this is already becoming a big branch. So it's annoying. Again, I always say this whenever I do these streams, but it's just they shouldn't get this long and have so much in them. It's just annoying. I'm going to go back over this spec and kind of try and tie this together just to do my kind of due diligence and make sure that this is all what it should be. Kind of annoying. Okay, so once those tests pass, that will be our two new steps. So we want to set our feature flag on a user and do our other check. So we want a console open. Let's do that in here. So let's grab, let's just grab a different user. We can do it while we'll make a new one and flag him. So test. Doesn't really matter what it is, just hitting random keys. Password. Okay, so our user is user 4. We can do user. I'm going to take a look at his feature flags. They're going to be empty. And we're going to update him. And we want the feature flags to be whatever that feature flag was from earlier that I've forgotten. Edit payment v2. I think that's a string-based hash. And we want to set it to 1. Okay. So we are going to add gift aid. Going to add our declarations. Going to add in our address. And this should now, because I've set the flag, be a payment method manager. It's not, it is the payment manager. That's the name of the thing. I've set the wrong flag. That's so stupid. It's not edit payment v2. The flag is just payment v2. Sorry about that. So now it should be the payment method manager. Great. So that's, I don't know if you can see that because it's not very readable. Lift that up. So that's the payment method. This is the React debuggy tooly thing from Chrome. That's where you can see what React components are on your page. And so the payment method manager is the new React component we have for interacting with the new Stripe payment methods API, rather than the old one which interacted by getting a token and then used the charge API. So that's what the feature flag is swapping out. It's swapping out this view, which changes the React component. They look the same, but they're not. They're actually completely different. So we're going to trigger the SCA as we did before, so I should still have that in my clipboard history. So it's a number with 155 in it. So this card number is a card number provided by Stripe, which we know will trigger SCA, which is secure customer authentication from the bank. So we've added payment details. We're going to continue to the next step. Aha! We knew it would never work. Donation set payments path. So this is because I have renamed that stupid thing by renaming the action. Okay, so we have no confirmation, no gift aid option on here, which is what we had before. So that's been removed from both the feature flag and non-feature flag version of the process. So there's no point now where they get asked. The last step we have to do is there was another checkbox, which is about anonymization. We're going to move that back further as well. And so this should complete. I'll tell you what we're also going to do. Let's check two things while we're here. Let's turn on, so this is terminal. If we bump the font size up a little bit, you guys should be able to see this. So let's turn on UltraHook and Stripe. You guys can see my UltraHook key there. Like, they're free, you get them easily. Like, don't send stuff to there because that would be super. I don't have it on very often, but we're testing here. So what UltraHook does is, as I mentioned earlier, Stripe's new API recommends that we fulfill the orders that the user has made via webhook rather than doing them in the UI. So this confirmation button here is calling the Stripe completion step via the UI, via client side, rather than we used to do it in an API call to the charges API. And the reason for that is because of this, which we showed yesterday in yesterday's stream. They need to take over our UI and do the new bank security steps. That could be an SMS, make the user go to an app, do something. And this is Stripe's test dummy version. But when we fulfill this, so assuming the user does do the right thing, we complete it, we should then go to our thank you step here, which we do, and then we get an API, a webhook back here, which we do, to our specific path that we've set up for that, a specific route, and we use Stripe Connect, so that's actually from a connected account. And we then verify that, and that should mean that when we go to look at that donation in control panel, I'm not logged in as that user anymore. So if I log out because we're done with him, so if I log back in as me, when I go to the control panel for the organization and go to the donation, it should be marked as completed. Yep, so that, which one was it? That is donation 3. This one. And in here, we can see that Anonymous, because I had not provided my details, has not provided a gift aid declaration with this donation, which is a bug because that is the other checkbox that we need to say yes, they can view those details. But that's all fine. That's all stuff that just needs to get covered. So we haven't yet met our kind of QA criteria for this yet, but we've moved all of the stuff over from that previous branch, so we're done with that. And we've got some basic information over here, and our Stripe payment is marked as completed, and our donation is marked as completed. That did not happen in synchronously here, that took place via the webhook that got triggered here. And if that webhook doesn't come back or there's a delay, nothing happens. The user doesn't get their confirmation email or anything because we only use the webhook for fulfillment. Okay, so we have added our 2 steps to a multi-step process. That's the gift aid and the gift aid details that we saw during the donation process. We haven't hidden them behind feature flags because we are going to roll them out to production. We're going to do the extra work on the back end to make sure that the information is in the exports. And we have plucked all of those things out of our huge mammoth list of commit messages. And we have also, let me go back and check my list of commits. Where was that? It was, here's some commits. So we've turned loads of things purple, and we've ignored a bunch of other stuff, which we don't need right now. And now we have a branch that is just adding those 2 extra steps, and we can go through, finish the spec, and write them up. So that is me for now. Thank you very much for sticking around. For anyone who has watched, please subscribe to get notified of these. I've seen some people dropping out, and according to the stats, a bunch of people that have subscribed come back and rewatch the videos for a little while. So thank you for doing that and for taking the time to do that. You can follow me on Twitter, where I've been posting about this a little bit as well. My Twitter is Max Shelley, MAXSHELLEY. And yeah, really appreciate it. So any feedback you can post there or on Reddit or directly on the YouTube videos in the comments or something like that. And thank you to everyone who's been in touch so far. It's been super useful. So hopefully the audio is a bit better. The font sizes are a little larger where I can. And in general, I've tried to improve things. So thanks a lot. Have a great day. And I'll come back and update you with this feature in the next stream. Thanks a lot.